everyone, and welcome to the 116th episode of We're All in the Same Boat. I'm your host, Luke Roxwold, and today I am here with Jordan, who is a streamer on Facebook, does a bunch of variety of different things. He plays Call of Duty, he plays as Tarkov, has a whole channel set up with his friends that he does on Facebook. And so today, welcome, Jordan. Hello.
Thanks, Luke. Appreciate you having me on, man. Always enjoy coming on.
The podcast has been a little bit rocky lately, so I've been kind of trying to think of some fun things to do, and I thought, hey, this guy Jordan that I know has this really cool thing going that I don't know that much about, which is kind of the main part of the podcast, is that context. I've done a variety of different things. You're a variety streamer. I'm a variety content creator.
That's a good way to describe it. Yeah.
So, I've done stuff on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook and like Photoshop and editing, like a bunch of little things. And I think I'm pretty okay at most of them. I'm fine at a lot of things. I'm not like amazing them, but I'm just fine at everything.
I think you're better than 90% of the people out there.
Yeah. So live streaming is one of the things that I am not fine at, because I've never been able to do it, and here's why. And this is what I want you to talk about a little bit.
Personality does not fit it at all.
What? I think actually, for the record,
no, go ahead.
I think my personality is fine. You don't have to attack my character. I'm saying
for streaming, I will.
I'm saying that the thing about live streaming that I think makes it so difficult to start is the level that you have to get to do it is so high.
Yeah.
So how difficult is it to create a Facebook account and post a Facebook status or post a picture on Facebook? Super easy.
Oh, absolutely.
So everyone does it. Same with Instagram, also YouTube for that matter. But live streaming, you need the computer, you need the camera, you need the recording equipment, you need a gaming computer, there's no trial. That's the main thing that got me, is the very few times I've done live streaming, there's not really a way to just say, all right, this is a practice round without doing it. It's sort of like, and this is the last thing I'll say about this before I kind of throw some questions at you.
Yeah.
When you're a musician, or a stand-up comedian, the only way you can actually really practice is by going on stage and doing it. You're never going to be fully ready. There's never a way that you can practice being on stage other than being on stage. And live streaming is the same sort of thing. You're getting on a stage and trying to, be funny and entertaining, and the pressure is there. And that's sort of what I wanted to ask you is, how did you get into this and reach that level where you could start? Tell me a little bit about your history in live streaming.
That is a bit of a funky story. A great analysis, by the way. I definitely want to roll off that here in a minute. So initially, it started as just me watching streams on Twitch. There's a bunch of content creators like Stone Mountain and X Factor, Level Cap. These are all big YouTubers who made video content based off Battlefield that I enjoyed. And then they started live streaming, so I'd watch their stuff every now and again. Well, I was working for a Verizon store at the time, and me and my manager, both huge gaming nerds, both Star Wars fans, both tech geeks, a lot of similar character traits. We got along pretty much instantly once I found out he liked Star Wars, and we got over the fact that he didn't know what he was doing as a manager, and I was
it's like
disruptive.
Like little kids almost, where it's like, wait, like picture 2 6-year-olds like, wait, you play in the dirt? I play in the dirt. We're friends now.
Dude, did you find the worm? I got a worm. It's like, what?
Yeah. You like Star Wars? Whoa, we're friends.
It was literally, I saw an R2-D2 character on his key ring. I'm like, we're good. I don't need any more information. We'll just roll off from there. But it was funny because we started out as a really rocky relationship because he just got promoted to management.
He's your manager, right?
Yeah. Oh, he was a sales rep who showed his potential, and he has a really good business sense on how to sell and how to actually find what the customer needs once, and then actually present things and actually get them to see the picture versus just see the money. which is what most sales is like, look, you have this. Let me show you why this trade is a good trade for you. Anyway, off of that.
It's always, I mean, we can go down the sales road, but I know it's always about how can you convince the customer that this will be good for them, you know, because the customer doesn't care about you or your opinions or the device. They just care about, like, what does this do for me? You know, so
nobody cares what they have in their hand as long as it's good for them and they seem like they're cool because they have it. Not a bad thing. Anyway, so me and him had a really rocky relationship because he's new to management, and I was like, I was very opinionated and still am about how I do things.
Right.
So after we got that out of the way, we just started discovering we had a lot in common with video games. He's a big Battlefield 2 guy. I was a big Battlefield 3 guy. He really has a lot of experience on a PC, and I've always wanted to build a computer. I got to the point where I got tired of, for lack of a better term, sorry to use this in the gaming, I'll use some gaming slang, but I'll try to translate it.
Oh, no.
Instead of, I know, it doesn't go
like,
over well.
I was a noob.
I was a pony little noob. I'm a hardcore gamer. It's just I spend thousands on the equipment, on the games, on the accessories. It's just what I enjoy. It's my version of cars. Like, I like to build, I like to program to a small extent. That's what stuff. Anyway, we were talking, and one day.
Wait, what was the gaming term?
Oh, it slipped my mind once I said I needed not to say it. I was like, and it's gone. See, this is what streaming is. It's flow. It's not what you said 30 seconds ago has no relevance to what you said
True.
5 seconds from now.
You can't get. It's not like a movie or something where it's like, hold up, can we cut for a second? Let's think about this. What are we doing? It's sort of like,
I wasn't a casual.
No,
I'm not a casual gamer.
The show is going on. We gotta keep going.
This is the show. There is no stopping. Doesn't matter if there's a glitch in the Matrix. The show must go on.
Okay, so forget
I'm not
that.
A casual. I'm a hardcore gamer. Like, I spend money on it. It's my hobby. Anyway, we started hanging out online and playing Xbox and whatnot together. And we started looking at all these content creators because we really liked a YouTube channel called Battlefield Friends, where these guys would make skits based off Battlefield. They're animated. They're really well done. And we were talking how fun it would be to have like a YouTube channel. Well, that slowly transitioned, let's see, that was back in like 2015, give or take, 2016, into streaming, because streaming at the time was super hardcore game nerd culture. It wasn't something that, like, when someone said, what's streaming? You could go, well, it's kind of like you watching the NFL. You're watching somebody else play a video game.
Dude, actually, that's very interesting, because just to cut in real quick, like, I remember where was I? I can't remember. I was in Virginia, but I'm trying to remember if I was in Virginia and then visiting. Like, if I was in California and then I visited Virginia. I don't remember. I think I was still in Virginia at the time, so I might have been in college. So it was a while ago. But I remember talking to someone about Twitch, and they couldn't get it, grasp the concept. They're like, look, they were older. They're like, 10 years older than me, but they're like, okay, look, I get it. Okay, my nephew's here, and I get it. Like, you play video games, I get it. You're gonna play video games. Video games can be fun, I get it. But Luke, and then this is the catch. He goes, he's just watching other people play video games. I don't understand it. And the thing is, it does seem silly at first, because you're like, why would I watch other people play video games? It's like, but why would you watch other people play sports? Yeah, why would you watch other people play football? It's the same thing. It really is.
It drives me nuts, man, because people will get in that, this is such a stupid hobby, and then they'll literally click on ESPN and watch highlights of people shoot basketballs into a hoop. And I'm
honestly,
like, what's the commentary over it? That's what streaming is.
It's sitting on the couch for 3 hours watching football versus sitting on the couch for 3 hours playing a video game. I think a video game is actually better for you than a football game, because you are learning to react to things. You're handling pressure. I'm not saying anything against sports. I'm just saying that if I had to choose,
I'm choosing a video game.
Yeah, I would too. And I'm not even really a big gamer.
No. Well, not.
All right.
No, you're a gamer.
I mean, that's what I tell people to be funny. I'm like, I'm a gamer. Yeah, I'm definitely a gamer.
You spend enough time to call yourself a gamer.
Okay. Well, I don't believe you, but thank you. I'll take it. I take that as a compliment.
I've seen your online Call of Duty time. You're a gamer.
I'm all right. Okay, so keep the story moving. You guys were into, just to recap, you guys were both into Star Wars. You were both into games. You were talking about starting a YouTube channel, and then did you ever start a YouTube channel? What happened with that?
Oh, heck no.
Okay.
No, we talked about it, and
Okay.
I was the first one to take the steps because I looked at the equipment you need to stream, and so I got really
Wait, how
tired
did you
of...
get from YouTube to streaming though? You said that
I'll
you
get
were
there,
just
I'll get
watch. Okay.
So I was looking at the content you need to create YouTube videos, like the kind of microphones, the kind of PC you need, because a lot of people don't know rendering video and recording video eats up a lot of memory and a lot of power. So it's equivalent to, all right, I want to tow a boat. You're not using your freaking Prius to tow a boat. You need something a little bit bigger, and you need to spend a little bit more money. So you got to get a truck, and you got to get the right truck. That's what difference between like you surfing the internet on your computer and you trying to actually create content. You need a lot more power to get video A to place B. It's just, you know, Luke, you make content. It's a lot.
Yeah, it definitely is.
It's a lot of time and money. That being said, we were looking at making the channel. We're like, okay, this is kind of cool. This is kind of cool. We could do this. And then the amount of time it takes to create a YouTube video that is quality is not days. It's sometimes weeks. And we didn't have the time. We're in sales. The schedules fluctuate. He's a manager. I'm a sales rep. Our schedules are not always going to be anywhere close to each other. Don't get me wrong, we spent a lot of time together just because it was a small store, but it just wasn't always possible. So once we started playing online and we started watching people stream, just through watching our favorite creators going, hey, we're going to go do this on this platform. You know, we're like, oh, this is cool. We could do this. And we severely underestimated what streaming was. So I'm like, yeah, I'll go buy it. So I bought the computer, I bought the microphone, I bought
That's the thing,
monitor.
is it's like, oh, I'll buy the blue snowball, I'll buy an Elgato, and now we're done. And everything's just gonna work. And speaking from experience, I have an Elgato, I have a microphone, I have a soundboard, I have a super powerful computer, and I still can't seem to get these damn strings. They don't work. They're hard. You have to deal with bit rates. You have to deal with
coding,
and codecs, and like your computer handling it, your processor, your video rendering, the game rendering, the audio of you and the audio of the game, the audio of your computer, like all these different. It's
Your
really
internet
hard to
connection.
get started.
The kind of cable will matter. Like if you're using X cable, like an HDMI cable that isn't rated for what you're doing, your experience is that much worse. Like,
Yeah,
you
I'm
go
learning
from
about that. Like, and especially like TVs too. You know, like I think that's so. A little bit about my history is I played games a lot when I was younger, like video games. I grew up playing Halo and stuff like that.
Such an addict.
But yeah, I played a lot, dude. When I was really young, I remember I got like this Spider-Man game and just played it for like 8 hours straight. Just loved it. I just couldn't wait, you know? But then when I turned 18,
Yeah.
something about it, I just got out of it. And I think what it was is that's around the time people started playing like HD. They had HD TVs and Xbox 360s and stuff like that.
That'd be about
And
right.
I
Yeah.
think the input lag on all the crappy TVs that people used is what killed it. Because I play it
so
now,
bad.
and like when I play a game and it's got like 100 millisecond lag to it, it doesn't even feel like I'm playing it. It's so glitchy and unresponsive that I just can't stand it. And that's the difference, I think, that people don't realize is the HDMI cable you get and then the monitor that you use or the TV. It's going to be completely different.
Oh, it matters. Like the internet connection you have. It's one of those. It's
That
one of
too,
those. One of those weird things where you think you're okay until you do minor upgrades and you see your experience change like 2 to 3%. Not even
Yeah,
that. 10%.
you'll play better. Imagine if there was input lag while you're trying to catch a football.
Yeah.
You know?
Can you imagine a guy running down the field and all of a sudden he stops moving, the ball keeps moving, and then he's behind the ball and he can't catch it? It's like, what?
Yeah, or like you have to catch in front of the ball to catch the ball.
Yeah, because you're not
You know?
actually there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But okay, let's keep moving. So you kind of started in investing in this equipment the first time, and what happened the first time you started going down this road?
Oh, I spent $3,000 on monitors and hardware and keyboards, mice, games.
Damn.
That turned into me trying to make a podcast. I actually made one podcast episode and quit like immediately. It's done. It's terrible. The editing's awful. I spent 3 hours on the graphic. It's just,
oh man,
that was actually probably more than that. It was atrocious, let me tell you. Everyone's audio was off. I couldn't get it tweaked no matter what I did. This is why I have a lot of respect for you and how you manage this. I'm like, teach me, senpai. So I went down that rabbit hole and stopped. I was like, nope. What I want to use this for is just straight gaming now. If I spent the kind of money, I'm going to enjoy myself still. I mean, come on, I'm going to. I was a kid in a candy shop, right? So I was playing games that require a lot of power and look really pretty, and I pretty much gave up my Xbox, my PlayStation usage, got rid of that entirely for the most part. Well, my buddy finally got, my manager, Scott, got a PC, and we just played together. We didn't really do anything. Well, fast forward a couple of years, about 5 years, I'm out of that job. I'm working for Lowe's, and he's still at the Verizon store, and his coworker comes up to him and goes, "Hey man, I have a YouTube channel. I have a Facebook gaming page." And this is, for people who don't understand, Facebook getting into the streaming market at this point is insane. Twitch has exponentially exploded to the point where it's getting more views than ESPN. It's getting more views per game than any other major TV network. YouTube is officially taking over the video market to the point where you can make films, and YouTube is actually making their own streaming services. This is when Netflix has officially exploded beyond all comparison. You're talking a complete digital shift in how we do things and how we consume entertainment, right? And Twitch, you guys got to understand, Twitch is the big dog. This is the one that everybody wants to go after. Microsoft made a streaming service to take them on, which has collapsed and failed.
Typical Microsoft, like, oh, we can do it too, and then they just suck.
It drives me nuts because technically it was a great platform with great features. It worked really well. Oh, but we're not supporting it, and there it goes. Windows Phone.
Yeah. Yep. Windows Phone. Mm-hmm. I knew one person my entire life who had a Windows Phone.
Make that too. I had one.
They're like, yeah, it's pretty cool. I like it. It's pretty. Oh, really? Okay, Mom. Yeah, it was basically like, yeah, look at this. It's really cool, isn't it? And there was 0 apps on the App Store. There's nothing you could download for it. And so you're like,
yeah, like it's Windows 8 on a phone. That's cool, I guess.
In theory, and then it's like, it's okay. Stupid.
It's so stupid.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you why you went with Facebook instead of Twitch, but it sounds like this is the reason, that Twitch was such a monster that there was no chance of anybody seeing you because there's just too many people trying to live stream. And the thing about live streaming is the prep time takes forever.
You have no
once
idea.
You get it set up, 3-hour live stream takes 3 hours. And then you're done. It's uploaded. It's already finished. You don't have to do anything with it. Like with YouTube, it's like, go film, come back, edit, render, upload, write the description, wait for it to load, post it everywhere. Now you're done, right? But with streaming, it's like, push, recording. Now we just go for 3 hours. Done. 3 hours, all done, uploaded, all
finished. It's media content. It's great. Right.
Yeah, but the problem with that is then you get all these streamers on Twitch, and you've got
thousands
of people, hundreds of thousands of people uploading 3-hour-long streams.
Oh, some of them are doing 8 to 10, dude.
Yeah.
It's insane. So
EFAP, have you ever heard of EFAP? They do like I think his name is Mahler. He's like he got really famous for critiquing The Last Jedi, and he did like 3-hour-long YouTube videos about all the problems with those movies. But his live streams, they did a live stream where they watched Star Wars 2. What was it? They did a live stream where they reviewed a 6-minute long video of someone who watched episode 2. Or maybe it was longer. Maybe it was like 20 minutes. I don't remember how long the video was, but it was a short video. They analyzed this video for 10 hours. Their stream went on forever. It's insane how long people can go on a topic, especially live streaming. We'll get to you on that in a while. I do want to get to that. So we'll move this along because I want to talk about your live stream, your like what you do and what you've learned. So let's get the history.
I'm wrapping up, believe me.
Okay,
this is where we started. All right, so the reason Twitch is so popular is because it's fairly easy to get paid on Twitch. You just got to do a couple of things, which is basically just spend time streaming is all it is, and then eventually you get monetized. And the way you get monetized is through ads and then donations. So streaming became really lucrative, and it exploded. So you're talking major companies paying tens of thousands of dollars a month to a streamer if you're in the top like 1% to 2% of streamers. Mm-hmm. So people are making millions and millions playing video games. So we wanted a piece of that pie, obviously, right? We're salespeople, we're entrepreneurs. We don't want to be stuck in the corporate workforce our entire lives if we can avoid it. So we got in Twitch for a bit, and the way Twitch works is if you have people watching, you climb that rank. If you don't have people watching, you stay where you're at. That's just how it works. We did
just
it
like
for
YouTube, though. Watch
just
time
like
and
YouTube.
stuff.
Mm-hmm. We did it for just I think we did it for a month. No progress. So we said, screw it. My buddy, his buddy, and another friend of ours who owned the page, we all jumped in. We made a 4-person streaming team. That's what we did. That's what's different about us. So I got to back up just a touch. The thing that makes us different than like a normal streaming page is that it's one person streaming and making all the content. This is a multi-personality channel. So you have different people interacting with each other, creating content that you don't normally get. And you also can see different personalities streaming on their own. So if you like one person, you'll enjoy their content. If you don't like that person, there's 3 more. Pick one. Anyway, we formed this little group. We get on Twitch. Twitch is failing miserably. We get on Facebook. We explode. It wasn't even 3 months before we started getting enough followers to actually reach more people. We were getting hit on the algorithm, so we're getting pushed in front of people. We grew in 1 month. Went from like 300 to 6,000.
Wow.
It's a huge hit, man. It's crazy to go from we grinded for about 8 months. We hit 300 followers, and then we tried something, and then literally overnight, and I can't exaggerate that enough, we went a couple thousand and a couple more thousand. And by the end of the week, we were at just under like 6,400 followers on Facebook. Wow. So from 0 on Twitch or 3 on Twitch, and mostly just our friends, to 6,400 is a big jump, and that's what kept us on Facebook.
Yeah, no kidding.
Right.
It's interesting because I don't know much about the Facebook side of streaming. I wish Facebook would push it more because they push it a little bit, but I don't get as many notifications when you guys are live. Otherwise, I would try and watch more often. But
there's a frustration we could talk about.
Yeah, I know, because it's just
anyway.
Like, if people just hit this bell or click this little thing, then they'll get all the notifications. But it's just not common knowledge on Facebook. That's why on YouTube, forward, they're always like, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell so you know, otherwise you'll get nothing. Yeah, exactly. And like, I know that's probably a big part of advertising on Facebook is getting people to do that. But
absolutely. It's huge.
So just to clarify, your manager friend at Verizon, you guys started talking, and then a third person came in and said, hey, I have this channel. Do you guys want to team up?
A couple years later.
Was that channel the channel that it is now? Or was it?
Yes, it is. It's Rally Point Gaming. Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to ask you about that. So that's just for the listeners. That is that's the channel, Rally Point
Facebook page. Yep.
Gaming.
It's our Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. All of it.
Why is that the name? What does that mean?
So Rally Point Gaming is an allude to military slang. So the Rally Point is where soldiers group up during a mission or afterwards. It's the rally point. You gather.
Oh, I
see.
It's
the gathering
point. I see. And that's because you guys have multiple streamers, so you're all rallying at a point.
Yes and no. We originally had 5 members, and this guy was he was in the military, so we had some military themes because we liked first-person shooters. That's normally what we played, so it just worked out really well. But it also, when he left, we kind of rebranded just a little bit, and then now Rally Point is like because it's the gathering spot and we play shooters, so it just worked out.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good name. I remembered it.
Exactly.
So it's always RPG, bad when someone's like, yeah, I'm in this band. And you're like, yeah, I remember. What was the band's name again? I can't remember. It's like, oof, bad. It's
Puke
bad band
Dog?
Name.
You said? Puke Dog?
Yeah, you should always, if people don't remember it, when you bring it up, it's not good. So change
it. Not at all.
That's been my experience, at least.
Oh, absolutely agreed. Some bad names.
That was one of my questions of like, why Facebook? when did Rally Point start, who started it, the process of it growing, the amount of followers that you grew. Can you explain that though some? Because you said it blew up on Facebook. But what did you do? Like, walk me through the process. You guys created a page, because everyone can do that. Everyone can go on Facebook.
Everyone can create a
new
page.
They can upload an avatar picture or an whatever it is, profile picture, and a banner, and then write a description, and then it's stuck. Because I have a podcast Facebook, but I don't really use it. I don't really know how. I probably could try to, but I just, for some reason, never felt like it. And so I'm curious, what was the next step? Someone does those few things. What do they do next? If you could give them advice.
Okay, if I give somebody advice, the biggest thing you can do in the first year is simply spend time streaming and then growing yourself and not competing with the people next to you in your group, right? So what you're wanting to do is, A, make yourself stand out from the crowd. So the way streaming is at the moment, there's people who are good at a game, and that's what you watch them for. There's people that are entertaining, and so you watch them because they're entertaining, not necessarily because they're good at what they play. And there's that rare individual who's good at both, who's just hits your sense of humor, and you like the content they create. Boom. And then there's some rare unicorns out there that are doing their own thing completely, and those guys are kind of cool. One of my favorite streamers on Twitch is Baddie. It's a Baddie. He basically makes a rock concert during his streams. He's playing these hardcore, relatively boring shooters for the most part, but he makes the stream a party through music and lights and a show. Has 16 different cameras. So there's some people like that out there. Yeah, dude, literally his entire room has cameras. Like he switches views all the time. It's great.
That's the thing, is that's what's so hard for me with streaming is it's like, dude, I don't want to stream with a bad microphone. No. I'm a video guy. I want a good microphone. And I want to have a compressor on the microphone. And I want the music volume to go down if I talk. And then and like I want to do all these things, and it's like, Luke, you haven't even live streamed. You don't need to do all this. I'm like, yeah, but that's so cool. I want to do all the things.
But to
overachieve.
Exactly, man. You can see people like you excel because you keep pushing yourselves. But you also get burnt out, just because you push so hard. Speaking from experience here. Anyway, rewinding.
The other thing that can happen is you want to do too much too fast, so you never even start. Like that happened to me with streaming or with music, where it was like, oh, I'm not good enough to play in front of people, or no, I can't play in my church because I'll probably make a mistake. And it's like, but you have to do that. You have to just do it and make the mistake, and then go on from there.
Well, it's a harsh reality that doesn't play favorites when you're actively trying to pursue something that you enjoy, because it'll show you the stumbling blocks. It'll show you your inconsistencies. It'll show you your ethics. It'll show you what little things you could be doing to fix something that you're just not willing to put the time into. And it'll show you your strengths that you said should continue growing and adapting and changing in the world you're in to be better. Like it's crazy.
For your Rally Point Gaming, who is sort of the lead of the more business side of like, let's grow this from an analytics perspective, go after this demographic, or pay for these ads, or put this in our descriptions, make sure we show these pictures. Who's the head of that? Is that you, or is that somebody else?
That is not me. No, that is Water Chef, otherwise known as Scott from the Verizon. Okay. So,
this is your manager.
Yeah. Well, okay. You see,
or old manager. Okay.
Technically old manager. Yeah. So, circling. I'll make this a complete circle. It'll circle around perfectly. The benefit we have as a group is that we have different personalities and different strengths and weaknesses. So we use those to our advantage. Scott is a much better business manager and savvy kind of thinker than I am. I don't see those kind of numbers and pictures and go, oh, I can apply this pattern and adjust this and get this outcome potentially. And I don't know. I just don't see that. I can do that in a conversation. I'm like, oh, okay, he's saying this, he's acting like this, I can adjust this, no problem. And numbers wise, that's Scott 100%. Merchandising, tech. When it comes
do you guys
to
have a merch store?
Yes, we do.
Okay, yeah.
It's really cool.
I have to make sure that I get your whole team on here at some point. We were gonna listeners. We were gonna try and do that at one point or like earlier, but just kind of hard to match all the
4
schedules.
people.
But one day we'll get everybody on here so we can hear all sides of it, because that is a side of it that I am very interested in. But I do know this, and I you can choose how much of this is a good idea and appropriate to talk about, but. So when I was younger, I did like stop motion videos, like as a young kid, just took pictures of things and then moved them and then put it all together in like little videos. And then I also did vlogging, right, where I would film myself and film things I did and edit it into videos and stuff like that. And the one thing that I have noticed between those 2 projects and then the 48-hour film project I did, the podcast I've done, other films and stuff that I've done, is that working with people is tough.
Yeah, it's a pain in the
you can't
ass.
just be like, when you're working by yourself, you're like, computer, do the thing. And the computer's like, I have no choice. I have to. And the computer just does it. And if there's something that doesn't work on the computer, it's because there's something in the code or something you did wrong. But for the most part, the computer does what you tell it to. When you're dealing with people, though... They don't just they have personalities, they have opinions, they have egos, they have
different schedules.
Yeah, schedules. They get upset, they get happy, they get controversial. It's a whole nother ball game trying to coordinate multiple people. But the thing is, when you do coordinate multiple people, the amount of power of things you can get done, the amount of things you can get moving when you have 4 people working really hard instead of just one person working really hard. So if you can get over that hurdle, you can do so much more. So what I wanted to ask you is, your gaming channel has how many people? 4 or 5?
4.
4. 4 different people. What is that like? Now, like I said, you can decline to answer this because I'm sure they'll probably listen to this episode. But what has it been like working with other people and trying to coordinate people to do something this big?
It's a lot like when you're first starting out, where you have to be consistent with streaming. You have to kind of build your own audience. You have to find out how you play a game, how you relate to an audience, what kind of setup you have, what you have to work with, what games you like to play, kind of figure that game out, to be successful. It's the same thing with working with a group. You have to figure out each individual person's personality to an extent that you can operate and work with them efficiently. You have to figure out their gameplay styles. You have to figure out what role you play, because we have to play multiplayer cooperative games, because otherwise it just doesn't work. So if it's mostly military shooters like Call of Duty, Battlefield, Tarkov, which is a hardcore tactical shooter, you name it, it's a team-based game. So you got to know, okay, this guy is the aggressor, this guy's a strategist, this guy's... I'm getting there.
Okay, because that's the game side. I do want to hear more of the other side of it.
Right, this plays into that.
Okay.
Which guy has the whole picture in his head of what needs to happen. That applies directly to the business world as well. Chef is the overall visionary when it comes to planning. Like me and him, I'm a brainstormer. I have an idea. I want to do a concept. I want to make a series. I want to see where our merch store goes. I want the logos. I'm the one who pushed for some of the content you'll see with our branding. So the other person wants to actually take the time to research. The other one just wants to go, yeah, whatever you need me to do. So working with individual personalities is a pain in the ass, and it's a lot of time and communication. But it's rewarding because you get to build a little community that insulates you from the world around you, right? Because you have people who will tell you exactly what they think and can then say, hey, look, man, you're being too aggressive with your community. You're being too...
because I know... like with gamers, you get all sorts of different types of people that play games.
Absolutely.
Some people are much more energetic and some people are much more mellow.
Yeah, that's literally our mix.
And I'm sure that the people that are more mellow are like, hey, you guys are being too loud. You're going way over the top. That's not working. And then the people that are going over the top are like, all right, you guys are being too mellow. You got to be liven it up, And so...
That literally is what happened.
Oh, yeah? Is that a discussion or something that happened before?
No, that's like weeks and weeks of bickering.
Oh yeah, they were saying not a discussion, it was a fight. We argued about this.
There's been so many times where you're like, can we get this guy out of here? He's so annoying. And we've all said it about each other. We've all wanted to punch each other in the face. There's been something. Everyone's had an issue with each other. Like, I've wanted to wring so many people's necks. It's unbelievable, and vice versa. And what's funny is you just start discovering how much you have in common with somebody, with what you're irritated by, and you're like, oh, okay.
You guys just start team killing each other in the games, like, screw this guy. God.
Like, oh, was that your kill? Oh, you didn't get any loot.
I've been
Too
trying
bad
to
for
do
you.
that forever because I'm so annoyed at you. Actually, just to clarify, the people that have been on this podcast, like my podcast members, those of you who are listening, this doesn't apply to you guys. The podcast has obviously been a very successful thing. There is differing opinions, and there has been like a lot of discussions about the direction this podcast has to go.
That's not true. I've been behind his curtains.
That's right.
Luke. He hates all of you.
That's right. All the terrible things I say about my
No,
my
I've heard
hosts.
nothing but good things about you guys.
No, but in all honesty, though, the podcast probably has been my most successful project that I've done with other people. So those of you who have helped me through all this, so Shane, Nick, Michael, John, and Brent, like all you and all the guests that I've had on, Jordan, you're one of them. You guys have all really made this podcast successful by helping me make it interesting by being present and bringing ideas and all that stuff. But I do know that with this podcast, setting that good side aside,
The rough patches.
it's complicated. It's hard. You know, we tried to do some like task management stuff where we sort of use like a task management system to assign things to people and get things done. And it worked some, but it was always kind of hard to get it moving. And because people have jobs and people are trying to get a lot of stuff done. And that's where we kind of got to with this podcast where, you know, we're sort of like, all right, where are we going with this thing? Where do we want it to go? How is it going to grow? What are we going to do to change it? And we still haven't been able to answer that question. And a lot of people have a lot of stuff going on in general right now. And then coronavirus happened, and it's just and I went, and before that I moved, and there's just been a lot of life stuff happening around this podcast. And so that increases the complexity because not only has my life gotten more complicated and more all over the place, every other host on this podcast's life has gotten more complicated. So it just
it's amazing you get these things started, like whether it's streaming or a podcast, photography, you know, your RC car hobby, your car mechanic hobby, your electronic, whatever it is hobby you're into at the moment. It's amazing how much time you have when you start those things, because you're like, I got nothing but time. And then not even a year later, something flips and you're like, how am I supposed to fit this in?
Yeah.
How am I supposed to spend an hour?
Take that for one person. And then take it for two, and it's like, oof, man, try and get two people's schedules to
I don't
line
know,
up.
man. 30 minutes is a big difference for me right now.
Then 4. You know, like the more people you get into this, the harder it is to get people's schedules aligned. And
Dude, we had 5 at one point. It's insane.
Yeah, it's tough. It really is. So that, you know, that's just some of my side of this too. So when the fact that you have 4 people doing your Rally Point gaming and I have 4 people doing my podcast, it's
very similar. Yeah.
And here's the thing about the people on my podcast that makes it really tough is every single person that is on this podcast I chose for a specific reason, whether it's Michael or Nick or Shane or Brent or John or myself. We all sort of bring something to it. And so when one person is missing, the episodes,
the dynamic changes.
They don't work as well because it's like Shane brings something different than what Nick brings, and Nick brings something different than what Michael brings, and I bring something different than all of them. Like we're all kind of bringing our own thing. Now, is it similar with Rally Point? And I think the simple answer is yes. I'm sure it is. How can we? I'm trying to think how to make that more interesting though, because I don't want you to just go, yeah, we're all different. Yeah.
No. I was going to say that. Come on now.
But
I
don't want to set you up with a bad question.
Hey now. Hey man, you just throw me a bad question. I'll knock it out of the park. It's fine. Short answer, yes. Long answer, no. So what's really cool about this is that you, as an individual, have to develop your own style and your sense of urgency and your sense of timing, your sense of community. Because what you're doing streaming, a lot of people don't realize is you're building a community. You're building a 3-hour friend, or a 5-minute friend actually would be more appropriate, because most people don't stay in for longer than 5 minutes unless it's your die-hard audience. And even then, that's a very long time.
Yeah, and honestly, that's something I did want to mention. I'm going to throw this in there. Like, you got Facebook streaming and Twitch, But like a lot of the platforms that have streaming, like Instagram has streaming. Instagram streaming sucks. It's terrible. You can't.
It's the
you can't
worst
hook
streaming
anything
platform.
into it. No one. If you watch the stream, you can't do anything while it's playing. Like your phone is locked up, and if your phone is locked up, like no one's gonna sit there and just watch you stream. So like you need to be able to like minimize the stream on your phone and still hear it. It's such a bad design. I don't know what Instagram's problem is, but
I don't know, dude.
crap.
Twitch could do that. They all could do that.
Yeah,
Like,
Twitch does the same. Wait. Twitch does it. DLive, which is like the fringe one, that one doesn't. Instagram doesn't do it. YouTube can do it if you pay for it. It's just like, I don't know. Streaming,
man,
I think streaming could really blow up, but like all these
dude, no, here's
services.
what's crazy. It's blown up. It's blowing up. It's getting bigger and bigger. I mean,
okay, I know, but I mean, it's just like
you mean like exponentially?
Well, when the iPhone came out, it's like everyone had Blackberries and smartphones and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But when the when the original iPhone came out, it sort of changed it, and everyone got that type of phone. And then Android came out with their phones, and it blew up. And like streaming could be like that, because streaming, while it is huge, it's like, dude, I think it could be so much bigger.
Oh, it's
like,
going to be.
Let's think about YouTube, how big YouTube is right now, and streaming is 5% the size of YouTube, maybe 2%. It's pretty small because YouTube is huge.
I couldn't give you a number. I don't know. I
I'm
mean,
just
the amount
gonna,
of people.
I'm just gonna throw totally random, just ballpark it. Let's say that YouTube is, YouTube's huge, and then the amount of people that are watching YouTube and the amount of people are watching streams, I would say the amount of people that are watching streams is probably 1% or even 0.1% of the people that are watching YouTube. And the only reason that is it's easier to watch YouTube. Like old people watch YouTube. Everyone watches YouTube because it's so easy to do. If live streams were that easy to do, that easy to produce, and that easy to watch,
Everybody would do it.
oh man, it would be everywhere. There would be no podcasts. Podcasts would just like go away. Well, I say that, but that's not exactly.
Yeah, that's not true.
The stress of doing a live stream over doing a podcast is exponential. Can we talk about that actually?
Things.
That's something I'd want to know about.
Sure. Can we finish what we were saying earlier?
Oh yeah, sure.
Sorry. This is where you and I are very interesting people, because we'll talk about a topic for a second. Like, hey, you know what? On that note,
I figure if I'm interested in it, the audience will be interested in it. But if I'm not interested, it's like, let's move on.
Yeah, exactly.
No offense.
No, not yeah. No, I'm not. I get it, dude.
What was it?
No,
What were we talking about before that?
The group dynamic, how that works.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but this actually ties into what you were just saying about streaming. Finding your own audience. Each person brings their own, like I said, flavor. But when someone walks away from the group for a minute, the dynamic doesn't really change, because we have a formula kind of mixed in. It'll be a little off tone, but it won't be totally different than what you'll see, because you'll still bring in the same kind of energy if you're on, right? And that's going into everybody being able to stream, and how big it could be if it was a little bit simpler. It would be ridiculous. Like, Facebook exploded. I'll just give you an idea. Facebook went like ahead at 350%, I believe. It's right around that number. I gotta check. I gotta check to actually see what the number was. But grew 350% in weeks once COVID hit. Like their streaming stuff. So everybody and their mother bought webcams.
That's true. Yeah, because my brother wanted to buy a webcam, and they were all gone.
Gone. They're still gone. We're trying to get an upgraded camera, and it's gosh dang impossible. And I'm not spending $300 on a 4K camera that does nothing for you.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a rant. Everybody's kind of doing it now, man. Like, streaming has changed so much from I need to drop a lot of money to I'll be plugging my mobile phone and have a camera on me, and then I can play a video game and get an audience of 500.
Yeah, it's true. And I guess that's true that it's getting there. It's getting simpler, but it has to be. People underestimate how simple something has to be for people to use it. And people will, I've talked to people about this before, where I'm like, it's got to be easier. It has to be easier. It can't
Always
be
easier.
5 clicks. It needs to be 1 click. They're like, oh my God, whoa, look, it's only 5 clicks. I'm like, dude, if it's 5 clicks, people don't do it. It needs to be 1 click. It's like, why do you think everyone's on their phone all day long? Because it's like, Click lock button. I see all my notifications. Swipe, I'm in my app. Swipe, I'm in my other app. It's just like it's all one swipe, one motion, and then it's like, why? You think about the things that you don't do on your phone that you should. Like, oh, I should make a reminder for something that I have to do at 5 o'clock today. Why don't you do it? And it's like, well, because there's just this psychological thing where it's like, okay, unlock button, swipe down, REM reminders, click, type it in, take out trash, information, remind me, alarm, time, slide to 10, done. That's how much work it took me to create an alarm. And it was like, that was like 15, 30 clicks that I had to do to make an alarm. And so anytime I think like I got to put an alarm for this thing, it's too much work and I don't want to do it. And it seems lazy, but it's the reality. It's why people don't create alarms in the reminders app, because it's too much work, too many clicks.
It's a little ridiculous how cell phones work, or we get so irritated that it takes 10 to 15 clicks to do something, when in reality you have a huge piece of technology that makes your life so much easier.
Which
this is so much.
I understand that. Like, I understand the concept of, it's like, dude, this phone is amazing. It does amazing things. We should be more thankful for this phone. And it's like, yes, true. But a lot of things on this phone that are way more addicting are addicting because they are easier to do. You know, like when I
absolutely.
Like I said, like if I want to check Facebook or check Instagram, it's lock, swipe, click. Now I'm in there. Picture, swipe, pictures, more pictures, swipe. I just push my thumb or my finger up, and it's just 15 photos, 15 more photos, and it's like all I have to do is push up, and it's so easy that's why people do it. Just like a slot machine, you pull the lever and it runs.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's hard to get started in anything that's worthy of doing, but at the same time, there needs to be a technology bridge that allows you to understand and do something simply. And that's not where streaming's at all. Like Twitch is sort of like that. But to get started streaming, man, like you have to freaking not only what I'm saying is the barrier to entry is massive, and you got to be willing to pay that price. One in money, time, and learning. Like
you compare.
Let me finish my thought. Real quick. Like getting you experimented with it. Getting a stream set up properly is downloading a software called OBS, getting the links from Facebook or Twitch, getting this right server, getting the key that allows you to access that server, getting your information set up, setting up individual scenes. So literally you have to go in there, enter scene. Okay, this one captures the game. This one captures my camera.
That's the thing, though.
This one is overlaid. This one is my image, my logo.
Yep,
this one transitions.
I could make a crappy stream. I could do that easy.
Easy,
but it's like,
dude.
I want it to be good, though. I don't want it to look garbagey. And making it look good takes a lot of work. And so I never want to stream because I can't get there. What?
Dude, you're a color correction person. You know how hard it is to get a freaking green screen to work with a camera? You know.
Yeah.
You know.
Like on the fly.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Yeah, like
I don't use a green screen anymore.
Yeah, I think the whole green screen thing is kind of out, though. I don't think. It's out. I think it's not. I would much rather just watch someone with a little square. I don't think the green screen.
Yeah,
really
me too.
Now, okay, I think you had one more thought, and then I have a couple questions I wanted to ask you for things that I'm curious about. And
yeah, go for it. No, it's just. Yeah, go ahead.
So the first thing is when you first started streaming, especially when people started watching. How nervous were you then versus how nervous you are now? I know the obvious answer is you're not as nervous now, but how did you manage it? And what was the process of learning to be less nervous of like, I'm flipping the camera on, I'm going to be live, anyone on earth could watch me. Better not screw up, better not like, I don't know, what all the accidents that could happen on a live stream, you know?
Honestly, you don't have that many viewers in the beginning, so you might get someone pop in depending on which platform you're using every now and again. But it's not a lot. If you think you're going to turn your stream on, your camera on, and then have a bunch of people watching you, it's just not the case. When we first started, we'd see one person jump in for a little bit, and then poop, gone because it wasn't good. And then later on, it got a little bit better. They'd stick around and gone. Facebook is when we really started seeing 3 to 4 people at a time stay in. And that's where you start honing your craft. gosh, this sounds so pretentious. It is what it is, man. Like, I want to do it full time, so I'm going to say what it is. When you actually start interacting with the audience, that's when it gets terrifying. Because just going live is it's like you're nervous, but nobody's there. So it's like you're singing in the shower by yourself. You're kind of like, all right, I'm playing a video game. You know, I gotta learn to talk to nobody. Can't have any dead air. Gotta be interesting. Gotta be on. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that guy did that. You know, you start to build your version of that.
Well, you have to ham it up to a certain. Like, here's the thing.
Yeah,
my
turn yourself up a little bit.
Podcast Luke. It's just funny.
You're like I know where you're going with this.
It's just funny to say it that way.
You wear a mask?
Podcast Luke, the guy, is very similar to like House Party Luke, you know, where I'm like, whoa, you know, just way more excited than I might be on a one-on-one. It sort of depends. I don't know. I can sort of be like this when I'm not on the podcast, but you do have to be a certain way. Like when the microphone's in front of me and the podcast starts, something flips on and I just get that energy. And I think you need to have that.
Oh, absolutely.
But you have to do it for like 3 hours with a live stream. So long.
You know,
it's a long time to keep up that kind of energy.
Dude, it's draining. It gets to you. You do build a tolerance and endurance because it's just practice. But still, even now, after over a year, when the stream is over, I'm like, whew, all right, I can go watch Star Trek and not care.
Have you ever...
It's acting, to an extent.
Have you ever screwed up on a live stream?
Oh, yes. Oh, my gosh,
but no,
yes.
Not just like, camera's facing the wrong way, but like, have you ever like made a really big mistake?
Like saying a insensitive word on air?
Oof.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. I have a dark sense of humor. I think you know this. I will make a joke or crack a joke about pretty much anything. I don't care what the topic is. I don't care how taboo it is. If there's a funny moment to be had, I'm milking it. I mean, I'll make dad jokes, but I really get a kick out of watching people go, oh my gosh, they're laughing. That's so bad.
I can't believe you said that. And it's like, yeah, it's right. I said it. I'm not afraid.
Yeah, and you're laughing because you're thinking the same thing I am. Like, I mean, I also process like tragic events with humor. It's like just how I cope with things. Like, I won't give an example because I don't want to offend anyone in this format.
Don't repeat
it's
whatever
thing,
it was
not
you
mine.
said.
I'm not gonna.
Whatever it was you said.
No. But I mean, like, you know, with COVID and everything like that, you know, I find jokes to make out of it. It's like, oh, can't believe you said that.
Someone's like, died from COVID. You're like, oh no. Oops.
Yeah, it's like, your great cousin's aunt, uncle's mother-in-law from 5th generation Yugoslavia. Okay, I get it. Doesn't count.
Poor timing, but nothing.
No, great timing.
But I want to know, not something like I want to know because here's the thing: when you're live,
like tech screw ups, or
I see. Like when I'm recording this podcast, I could at least go, "Oops, all right, I'm gonna cut that." But
you shouldn't.
But when
so
it's
better
live,
if it's real.
You're just like, how do I get out of this hole? I dug a hole. I've seen it. I've seen the live streamers die inside, where they're like,
oh, I've died so many times, dude.
Mistake. And then there's nothing you can do to get out of it.
Oh, I got a good one. All right, so there's a really cool guy named Dean that comes in. He's from the Cook Islands, and he's a really cool dude. Then there's this another girl that comes in from, I forgot what state she's in, I think Nebraska. And for the longest time, because I missed one or two comments, I switched those two up, so I thought Dean was her and her was him, and I could, for the life of me, I'm like, wait,
or these were people?
These are people watching. Chat. This is chat watching.
Okay.
So I'd be like, oh hey, who? I can't. Are you screwing with me right now? Because people will come in and mess with you, right? It's just part of the
trolling.
game.
It's part of the game.
And like, exactly. So Dean's like, I am not Haley, and he's like typing like in all caps, screaming at me. I'm looking at my chat like, and she's getting mad at me now. He's like, what makes you think?
So like your whole chat, or the chat that people are watching are getting pissed off at you because they're like, we're not joking. You're like, that's exactly what someone who was joking would say.
Yeah. Like, I'm getting flustered on air. My co-hosts are laughing at me because I misunderstood the context of the joke they were making. And it became a thing ever since.
The joke flying over your head type thing. It hits you later,
So,
and you just slowly die.
It's, dude, I was the one who was hosting that night because we rotate who's on camera for Facebook. And I'm just like, you could see it. I was red-faced. I was like, I don't know.
There's
what
nothing
to
you can do.
anymore.
It's almost like you're
There's
bombing
nothing.
on stage, and you can't leave. It's like you're chained to the stage.
I'm stuck.
You're sucking.
stuck.
It's like you're in a funk. Here's the thing: you got your trick meter. Like when you're playing Tony Hawk and you're flipping your skateboard around. The more tricks you do, the more points you get, and the better you can do. Your trick meter goes up, right? Like that's a real thing that happens. Like when I'm playing well in a game, I just keep going. I keep getting better. But when I suck, it's like I
Absolutely.
suck, and then I suck more, and then I suck more, and then it just keeps going the opposite direction. You get a negative trick meter. And so when you bomb, and you're not, like this happens on the podcast. So the podcast starts out on a rough note. It's really difficult to
dude, it's
get out of
hard.
it. But with a live stream, people are watching you just struggle.
People are they're not just watching you, they're actively
and they're
attacking you and making fun of
It's like they're throwing the tomatoes at you the whole time.
Literally, you're literally like a comic on stage, like trying to make a joke and it bombs, and then now you're the butt of the joke.
Imagine this. Imagine being a comic on stage and
For
every
3
single
hours.
person in the audience has no fear. They'll just say
Zero.
anything. The worst.
There's no repercussions.
The most socially sheltered, quiet person is still typing like, "You're stupid. You can't believe you did." Because it's so easy to send a message. So you're getting heckled by the whole audience all at once.
all the time, dude. I have been heckled. I can recall a couple of nights where I mispronounced something or
Or
misread
you like
something.
forget something like geographical, like where a country is or something.
Yeah, it's like,
You
that's
could,
on
dude,
the.
you could ask me. There's certain states, like not states, but like I don't know, like definitely
states would
countries. There's certain countries. If someone said,
Capitals
it, I'd be
inside
like,
of states,
is that?
yeah.
I don't even know what continent that's.
Is that
countries
is that in Israel? Is that Israel?
Yeah,
what are you talking?
because it's like
is
you
that the
spent-
Mediterranean?
There were so many years of my life where it didn't matter if I knew where X country was,
whatsoever.
and so it's just got
Dude.
erased. It's not
Oh,
there.
God
anymore.
forbid! God forbid you forget where the capital of St. Louis is. It's like what?
The thing
This
is,
doesn't matter.
when you have the thing that's so funny about it though is it's like it's not even like all the capitals and all of the where countries are, where like certain geographical stuff, like I just don't look at maps that much. And after
I don't give a
like,
fuck.
here's the thing,
I don't
28
care.
I'm 28 right now, so it's like I've had a long, not really as long as some people, I get it, but a decent amount of time
who
of
cares?
things I've been trying to remember and things I've been trying to figure out, all the video stuff, and got a lot of stuff going on in my head. And
Did a lot
so
of traveling.
so
You've done a ton of traveling.
So all of the like neurological pathways in my brain are like, we don't have room for this.
Ooh.
Can we get rid of this
Ooh,
stuff?
ooh.
So it's not like a long-term memory where someone says,
no, it's not vital.
"Oh, it's here," and I go, "That's right, I remember." It's like, no, I wouldn't. I don't even remember that. You could be lying. I have no idea. It's that far
because
gone.
I need to know. Oh yeah, dude. It's like you don't need to know what part of Africa Uganda is in. Like you don't even like. It's so useless. It's like I don't need it. Well, that's such a first world American pop.
Did you ever get out of it?
Don't care.
Like when you had a stream where you
God,
were
no.
bombing?
Oh God, no.
Really?
No, I just see. I decided to just run with it. I decided to be ridiculous, so I just went with it. I doubled down on it, and once I got over like kind of the butt hurt of being attacked for about 15 minutes nonstop, because oh man, dude, that does play with you. It really does. But once I just kind of got that skin developed, I just went with it. I became like a character. It's like, oh, Frenzy's forgetful. Oh, Frenzy's goofy. Oh, Frenzy can't read. He can't spell. He can't blah 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 blah.
And just for the
whatever
audience,
it is.
Frenzy's the like stage
That's
name
me.
or
The stage, yeah.
streamer
So
name that you go by.
that's my gamer tag. Yeah, that's the streamer
Gamer
name I go
tag,
by.
yeah.
So
Yep.
Rally Point Gaming or RPG Frenzy.
I
is
love
my
that I'm just using these
gamer tag.
words because earlier I said Facebook avatar instead of Facebook profile, and I'm like, oh
Same
yeah,
thing.
that's your calling card. What's it called?
That's my
Gamer's tag. Yeah,
gamer tag.
Gamer tag.
Yeah, that's your
That's
moniker.
That's
whatever
your
it
name
is.
handle, right? That's what it's called?
Yeah. So
what
you
they
got
call 'em,
Chef
right?
and Warlock and Frenzy and OGP. It's kind of like a cartoon. It's like, oh, there's Tom and Jerry. That's the idea behind the name, right?
But so
I can.
I'm just trying to
Just
let me
dug
actually,
deeper.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. There's a little bit of a delay just for those of you listening, so sometimes we cut each other off a little bit. But what were you going to say, George?
There's no delay. No, I just dug deeper and went with it. Made myself goofier, made a little mascot out of myself, and then like, oh yeah, I guess that's that. And it's like, no, it's not. I'm like, yeah, it is. It is now. Like I'd say I'd mispronounce a word or misread a comment, and I just went with it. It's like, that's not slime. We did it last night. So the game we were playing was Fall Guys, and it's basically Mario Party, but a different version of it. And I said jelly. I don't want to fall into the jelly because that was the challenge to avoid falling into it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's slime.
Oh, it's such...
And I immediately get corrected. It's slime. Like, it's jelly now. And I'm just like, nope, it's jelly. It's 100% jelly. It looks like jelly. It's jelly. It doesn't look like jelly.
Yeah, really. It's like
jelly.
It's green. There's no green. No one uses green jelly. Except for that one time when they had like purple ketchup and green ketchup as a kid. I remember that.
Oh, dude, that stuff was awful.
Yeah, I know, dude. It was... There's no way. Like, as if ketchup is... You know that ketchup is literally sugar. It's just sugar. That's what ketchup
sugar,
is.
vinegar, and like tomato juice.
Sugar and tomatoes on your hot dog. And what's so funny is then you have this green ketchup that just came out of nowhere when we were kids. And you're like, how did they do this? There's no way there's food coloring. There's something else in here that they use. As if ketchup wasn't bad enough. Now there's something... What if it was an accident? What if they just spilled something and like, oops. I think
that wouldn't surprise me that Heinz went, you know what? We'll just market this, and then we'll just add a little bit of this into this. What do we get? Purple.
Exactly. All right, so I want to go back to the main topic for some of this stuff, just to come back to the streaming side of this. You've done a lot of the Facebook streaming, but I'm curious, in the future, like some of the stuff that you would like to do. So if you could choose like cool things that you would do in the next 5 years, let's say 3 to 5 years or so.
3 to 5 years.
Would you've got YouTube, you've got talk shows, podcasts, like vloggings, in real live streams. Like people do a lot of crazy stuff on the internet. Does any of that interest you? And are you might even be doing some of them, and I don't know. But what do you think of some of those things? YouTube, talk shows, podcasts, all that.
Well, it's funny you mentioned a perfect segue opportunity to check out Preacher Oron's page on Facebook, where me and him have created our own podcast.
What?
We originally had a name. Yeah. We're on episode 4 or 5 of our podcast.
I had no idea. Actually, I just to be clear, I did have a little bit of an idea, but I didn't know that's what it's called, and I haven't heard it yet. So.
Yeah, I have to actually find. We haven't come up with a name. That's just the other streamer friend of ours, Preacher Oron, who is we're putting it up on there for the moment. Then it's going to create our own page for it. And yeah, as you know, it's work. It's time, energy, and effort we don't always have.
How long have you guys been doing this? You didn't tell me.
We just started it because I haven't wanted to tell. I haven't been wanting to share with my friends because I don't think it's good yet.
Okay.
I think it's good enough to listen to for normal people, but to my standards, it's not. Mm-hmm. But we just now got it to where like the backgrounds are stable, the audio's good. So now I'm like, oh yeah, go check it out. I'll start pushing it later.
When did you start doing this?
About 5 weeks ago.
What? I didn't even know.
Yeah, 4.5, 5, yeah.
I know you said something about trying to do a podcast. I didn't know that you actually were doing one for 5 weeks. I have to listen to it. Is it on iTunes?
Yeah,
where is the podcast right now?
Right now it's on Facebook and YouTube. It's going to be up on iTunes, Spotify, basically every major podcasting app. It'll be up there once we figure out some of the editing and promotional tools. I was actually going to get with you after this to get a little help with that.
Yeah. I have opinions on it. You know, the thing about podcasts, don't turn it into a YouTube video. A podcast is supposed to be raw. And when you think, here's the thing. If you cut it too much, even if you cut it perfectly, in theory, where it's like there's no glitchy audio sounds in the cuts, everything's really smooth and cut together well, people can still tell. It's like a feeling, there's something about it. And so the big thing, I guess my podcast isn't even really that popular, so I probably shouldn't be talking too highly about this, but from what I've seen, it's like you have Rogan and you've got Bill Burr and like you've got all these like all these other big podcasts. They all flew out of my head now that I'm saying it, but like they're raw. It's like this is what people talk like. This is a conversation, warts and all. And when you polish it up, you get like Jimmy Fallon. You get like this talk show crap.
I hate that.
hey, here's a question I was told to ask you. What do you think of this? Oh, well, that's a question I was definitely expecting, so let me respond to it. And it kills me. It's you can feel it. It's unnatural. It's fake. It's why I hate talk shows. I think they make people stupid.
They make people so
So try not to make it complicated. Just make it good, but release episodes.
Like the cool thing, the one reason I wanted to get back to segueing to your question was to make other content like podcasts. I want to do some YouTube videos. I want to get into some other kind of content creation. I'm still trying to plan that out. But the reason I want to get into that space is because I want to say what I want to say, give my opinions, and it be two separate worlds, right? There's a little crossover. I think it's like 20% of your YouTube audience will cross over to your streams. It's something around that figure. I wanted to say what I want to say politically. I want to talk about what the kind of jokes I want to make. I want to talk about the subjects I want to talk about, and not jeopardize. Jeopardize isn't even the right word. Like, mix that audience, because streaming is a different thing. It's being an entertainer to forget about what you're doing and how bad your day was, or to just increase that experience you've already had, to come out and hang out with a community that you've built in an environment that is fostering for everybody to come in. Because you got to think, you have so many different people. Literally, it's such a cool community, because we have 60-plus-year-old women hanging in our show. Yes, I'm serious. It's multiple. It's not one. There's like 2 to 3. There's 2. Yeah, 2 that I can recall.
What is that? What does that look like? I'm trying to picture a 6-year-old woman like tuning into Facebook and watching a gaming stream.
It's quite
How does that happen?
Shout out to Iman. Iman, what up? And she's really cool. Like Sherry's also really cool. They're really cool individuals who that like Skyrim, and they like community, and they like the personality, and they come in and they support us, and we love having them in. We have single mothers.
I'm not even being like a hater. I'm just like, how did you do it?
It's weird, isn't it?
It's sort of like me. Like, am I on TikTok? No. Why?
No.
I can't. I don't know how to do it.
You're old.
I don't know how to. It's just I just can't. Old. It's not that I can't download the app. It's not that I can't make an account. I just can't.
You can. It's just time. You got to be flexible. Luke, do not be that 70-year-old who won't be able to get an iPhone 36. He goes like, I can't like my iPhone 8. Like, shut up. Get out of my lobby.
Yeah.
But we have single mothers. We have people with mental disabilities, every kind of race, and just whatever. Just a large group of people. So I don't get political. Dude, yes, it's such a big, small world. It's crazy. So I try not to get political on the stream. I try to not so much offend, but put someone out of their comfort zone. I mean, it's so different religions, literally different religions, different political backgrounds, and so all I want is people to come in and have fun, feel comfortable, and I don't want to like censor myself, but I also need to you got to understand. You're putting content out there for people to consume, and if nobody's wanting to consume it because you're alienating half of them, there's no point.
Well, and there's like a certain level of entertainment, like I was talking about this. You heard me say this, but before you and I started this podcast, it was like, all right, well, what are we going to talk about? What are we allowed to talk about? And I was like, I don't know. I don't care. So long as it's entertaining to people.
Oh, absolutely.
And they enjoy listening. That's the point of the podcast, is to entertain. So when people tune into a stream, which is like supposed to be games, it's supposed to be fun, it's supposed to be whatever the brand of your stream is. And then all of a sudden you start talking politics. It's sort of like, all right, dude, I didn't, this isn't entertaining or the entertaining in the way that I wanted it to be. This isn't why I tuned into your stream to hear this.
Exactly.
So you got to know your brand.
I want to see the streamer struggle. I want to see them have fun. I want to see the risk or reward.
So
especially
are you
on something like Tarkov.
hoping to do some sort of podcast or YouTube channel that's a little bit more political, so you can get that side of you out there somewhere?
Hoping? Oh no, I dive deep. I dive into the deep end. We're already I'm at the bottom of the pool digging deeper.
But you're gonna do it?
We've already had very controversial episodes on the podcast in like the first 4.
Hold on. Where is this podcast? You said only on Facebook. Man, I don't even have the Facebook app on my phone anymore.
You are such an anti-social media user.
Dude,
it's hilarious.
Facebook let's
Facebook
is probably the worst one, I think.
I don't know. It's such a great platform.
Here's the thing. I'm not calling your stream out. I mean, like, you use the platforms
How
to
dare
the best
you criticize my
But I'm saying
dare
when
you.
when I hang out on Instagram's pretty cool for the most part.
But you're a photography guy.
Right.
Of course you like Instagram.
No, but I mean, you get cool pictures, you get cool videos, and just interesting stuff. It gets kind of political sometimes, but for the most part, it's just kind of fun, right? You go on to Twitter, it's much more political, a little bit more toxic, but it's also still like, yeah, it's kind of interesting sometimes. Facebook is the worst one. You get on Facebook and it's just people it's just stupidity. It's just dumb. It's not even like,
What? Okay.
it's not even
okay.
interesting. It's just dumb. I just
Let's
get
talk
angry.
about
I'm
this.
just like, dumb.
I
people
don't
everywhere.
understand. I don't understand how you people, and I'm going to use this literally, you people have this problem with these social media platforms, because I edit my feed to see what I want to see. I am in a bubble of my own with very little outside
My
influence.
own making.
I have technology, I have gaming, I have the friends I like, and I have interests I like cigars and cars.
I guess that's fair.
And
If I went
guns.
to Reddit and just went to the homepage versus subscribed to a bunch of different Reddits, which is what I do. I have like the ones that I subscribe to. It's more
Exactly.
interesting because like this is the stuff I'm interested in.
Oh, cool.
So it's like when
explosion, man.
like I actually follow. This is nerdy. Like
Let's
the
do it.
battle stations subreddit where they just have like their computers and their
Oh, I love that
keyboard.
subreddit.
It's really cool because it's like someone built this desk and it's really high tech and kind of fun to see. So if I follow that, I'm not going to get all these half-baked opinions that no one really knows anything about, but they're just throwing all over. Like Facebook is just like vomit, just garbage everywhere. So I don't like it for that reason. But yeah, I
It's
don't
the
have
old
the
person
app.
Twitter. Yeah.
But what is this podcast? I'm sorry, I'm so ADD about this. What's this podcast called though? How can I find it on Facebook?
So actually, you can search on Facebook Preacher Oran. I got to look at the.
I'm doing it right now.
So it's PREACHER and then AURON. It's on his Facebook page. Again, we're still getting the name set up because
What
we
was
had
that? How do you spell the second part?
AURON. Preacher
I
AURON.
think I found it. Yep, here he is.
I sent you the link. Like I literally sent you a link.
Oh, thank you.
You're
But I
welcome.
found it.
Yeah. So we have. It is on YouTube. We do have the the original podcast name was Wolfie and the Hamster, but we were like, this is a little too cutesy for the subjects we're talking about.
All right, let's look at. Can I read some of the episode titles out to give them
Go ahead.
kind of a?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, hold on. I went into this. Wait a minute. So there's Octopath Traveler, Borderlands. So these are like gaming videos.
So this is his streaming page, his Facebook streaming page. Yeah.
Yeah. Where's the podcast at?
You just gotta scroll through it. You'll see my face.
Okay, hold on.
You'll see my beautiful shining face in my Star Wars
Hold up.
T-shirt.
These are all a month. See, I actually don't know how to navigate this. So I'm in videos.
Here, I'm sending you another one.
Yeah, let me just click on it.
So I'm opening up the YouTube video so I can see the.
The Woofy and Hamster Podcast 3.
That is it. Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Oh, this is on YouTube though. That you sent me.
We use Facebook as the platform to.
I see. But on
Interact with the
YouTube,
audience.
is this all podcasts? No, this is just YouTube stuff too.
It's YouTube at the moment. Yep. You can find the episodes on YouTube, or you can find them on.
I was hoping this
Facebook.
would give me like a title I could read to them to kind of give them a taste of what the podcast is.
Oh, I can give you it. We don't have. We're getting there right now. We're just podcast episode 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to add titles and things like that.
What did you guys talk about in this episode?
That one we got into personal responsibility with the money and how government shouldn't be giving people money. We got into firearms. We got into
Oh man,
politics, pretty much across the board. School issues. I mean, you kind of name it. We've talked about so much technology, streaming, content creation, like we're doing here. I mean, you kind of name it. We've talked about it. We talked about the video game industry, what we're looking forward to in the next PlayStation and Xbox. Like, I was saying how much I was disappointed at Sony coming out with what I perceive as subpar console compared to what Xbox is bringing. Like, they have similar specs up to a certain point, and you're like, dude, the difference between your two guys' thing at this point is power and the way it looks, and then the exclusives. So the only reason I would buy a PlayStation over an Xbox is X game, because they're so similar. There's no point. Like, it's the game that's going to sell it.
yeah, I'm gonna have to look into it a little bit more because I don't know much about it. Like the new consoles, I've seen some of the videos.
Just buy a PC. There's no point.
It's just funny because like the
PC
PS5.
Master Race?
This is what I actually have written down in my questions for you. I said, What are your thoughts on the PS5 versus the Xbox, whatever it is?
What is it, the Scarlet? Or
Dude, it's like
even know.
Xbox. PlayStation is like, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I don't.
So
it
easy.
doesn't, but then Xbox, it's like
Series
Xbox,
X. Yeah.
Xbox 360, Xbox
One.
One, which is not
Xbox One
the
X.
first one, and then it's like Xbox
Series X.
One S.
Mm-hmm.
Or I have the Xbox
You have the
One
One X.
X. So that's 3 X's
Ooh.
in the name.
Ooh.
And now it's and then I think there was an Xbox S before.
That was the slim model.
So there's the Xbox One S, and now there's
No,
Xbox
You ready for this?
Series X.
There's the
S.
Xbox. The
Stupid.
Xbox
It's
One.
so
Xbox
dumb.
360. Xbox One. Xbox One S. Xbox
You know what? I bet they
One
do
X.
that so that the parents go to the store to buy it for their kids for Christmas, and then they buy the wrong one.
Why would you do that? You
And
lose
then
money.
they'll have to go back and buy the other one or something.
No,
I
their
don't know.
marketing team
Well,
are
I
just
don't know.
stupid because it's in Microsoft. We've talked about Microsoft has the
true.
worst.
Dude, they have Microsoft.
It is
just. I think
terrible.
Microsoft just has.
They need to fire
Like,
their marketing department.
Yeah, I think they just have hundreds of mini companies, and they all crash into each other. Like one's like, "Hey, we're creating this thing called OneDrive. OneDrive, it's a storage drive," and then this Windows mesh
Cool,
people are
man.
like, "Wait, well that's what we were doing," and then Windows freaking cloud. They're like, "But that's also what we're doing," and then eventually the higher ups at Microsoft are like, "You know what? Kill the
They're
other
all the
two.
same.
We're just gonna have this one," and then all the users that had the first one are like,
Have to migrate.
"Wait, we had accounts with these guys. You can't just delete them." And then Microsoft's like, "All right,
Too bad.
Figure out how to migrate these people in," and then they just get this glitch fest of messy, just trash.
It's exactly what
Microsoft's
happens.
garbage
It
company.
is the
No, it's
dumbest.
not. No, it's not. Sorry, Microsoft's not
No,
a garbage company.
Microsoft is a garbage tech company. They make
they do
a few
frustrate
solid
me a
products.
lot.
They make a few solid products, and then their software is so crappy.
Well, so
It is
I use
unbelievable.
Microsoft at my job all the time. And
Yeah.
so whether it's Skype or Visual Studio or Outlook or Excel, they all
Outlook's
are
fine.
really good programs for what they can do. But the idiocy in some of these programs is so frustrating. You're like, why did you do this? You know, like,
As a
why
Windows
would you
user, I get
program it
it.
this way?
Dude, okay, so I'm not an. I'm so careful with this because it drives me nuts. I'm a tech guy, so I like all tech. I've had multiple Android phones, I've had multiple iPhones. I'm on the iPhone right now. The thing I always go back to the iPhone is the fact it's simplistic design. I can get what I want fairly quickly. The software integrates really well across all platforms. You don't think about it, you just do it because it's similar. What I loved about Android is that it's so customizable that you get lost in it. You're like, oh no, what have I done to my phone?
Right. Yeah. It's
Oh,
sort
no,
of
I
like,
put
it's like
I'm in
you
a
took
hole.
the car engine apart and then you're like, wait a second, how do I put this back together now?
They're back together again. Yeah, exactly. Like, wait, I can strip my phone of all its manufacturer's nonsense and put what I want on it, and it still works. Okay.
Yeah, but that's the thing is Android. The reason I tend to prefer, I can appreciate Android,
You're an iPhone guy.
but the
It's fair.
reason I like Apple more in general is that it kind of ties into what I said before, where I would say 80% of the time to do the things that I want to do, iPhone is less clicks and less effort. So Android
yeah,
can
yeah.
do, like, here's the thing, hear me out. Android can do more things, but because it can do more things, it is more buttons, it's more switches, it's more things I have to change
Submenus,
to do the
yeah.
stuff that I want to do. And it's like, dude, I want to create a calendar invite. I don't care that I can set it to the half-second interval for the alarm clock. It doesn't matter. This is making it more complicated. I don't want this much flexibility because I don't care about it. And so while, like I said, like, it's not bad, I just prefer it to be as efficient and simple as possible because I don't have time to deal with it. You know, that's me.
No, dude, I completely get it. Like, the thing I really enjoyed about Android was the fact that I can get into the submenus, and it's just what you can do with an app is ridiculous. Like, on the surface, I think they're about the same amount of clicks, but you open up that app and you start tweaking things to your preference. Yeah, I think it's complicated. Unless you're using something like the Google Pixel, which is basically an iPhone that Google made. But if you want that premium Android experience, you gotta go Samsung, and they make it pretty simple too nowadays.
I have heard that Samsung is pretty good compared to Apple. It's just since I do have a Mac, it just fits well. But
you're
switched.
You are literally stuck in that ecosystem, and good luck getting out of it anytime soon.
That's not exactly true.
Oh, that's totally true. Nope.
No, it's not because I have a Windows computer.
Lies.
I have a Mac computer.
Lies.
I have an iPhone. I have a Fitbit. I have a freaking Samsung tablet. Like I'm not totally stuck in Apple. It's just like I could buy. Actually, I probably would choose a Roku over an Apple TV at this point. But the reason I have an Apple TV is it's like you can just stream your iPhone to it super easily. So it's like I can get a Roku and then try and fight against it. But
right. No, dude, I get that. I mean, Apple TV's on Roku
I just
too.
Dude, the Mac OS is so much nicer than Windows. It really is. I get that Windows can do a lot more things. It's a lot cheaper. I get it. But if I could choose an operating system, I would choose Mac way over Windows.
I have no issue with the operating system. I have issue with that Apple locks it to their hardware. Like, can I just buy your system and let it run on my hardware?
So here's the thing. I started using DaVinci Resolve instead of Final Cut now. I've kind of made the switch.
Really?
And I'm literally like, dude, I might just buy a super Windows computer so that I can have super power and edit. But I just bought this Mac, and it's like, no, I'm going to stick with it because I do like using Mac better than Windows, and I think my personal computer should be a Mac.
I think you're wrong, but
I feel you. But we're doing different things here. Like
it's true.
There's so many tiny things that you can do on a Mac in terms of like apps and extensions and plugins and things you can do with it. That it's like you just install an extension, and next thing you know, your computer's doing all this insane new stuff without you even having to try. With Windows, it's like, oh, you have to install the drivers. What drivers? Oh, you have to go find them. Where? Oh, it's somewhere buried in the freaking of nowhere.
Well,
and it's just like a big headache. I hate it. It makes me so mad. I get so frustrated at Windows.
Well, you also have to download our third-party support app so that you can get them automatically.
Oh, it only works if you
NVIDIA.
You have to go into the machine. Yeah, you have to go into there's certain things.
The command prompt. Are you serious?
You have to go into the host files and like these insane things where I'm like, I have to type bit level code to make this work. Are you insane? Like I mistyped something, I blow my computer up. It's like this is so stupid. I don't want to do that much work. I'm just trying to make my tab different.
This is a little bit hyperbolic, but for the most part, he's not wrong. And Mac still sucks.
Whatever. So let me see if there's anything else I want to ask you about streaming. I'm just gonna look through my questions here really quick.
While you're doing that, let me ask you.
Sure.
With content creation, I know it's difficult for me because it's a live show that involves interacting with an audience, trying to focus on the game when appropriate, or depending on what's going on, just be entertaining to the audience. And I know, like I was saying earlier, picking and choosing how I interact on stream to allow more people to come in and feel welcome versus what I talk about on a podcast, which is to be the people that like my kind of content for who I am and not the person I'm being on stream, which are not two different people. I just pick and choose what I want to say more versus letting my true opinions fly, right? As a content creator, since I'm doing live stuff, and that's difficult in its own right, you have experience with making podcast, recording, shooting movies, editing, film, and digital movies, along with photography. How do you get your audience to engage with you? Because we've talked about this before, where we said making a podcast that's entertaining for your audience, but also enjoyable for you to make, is a hard balance. And same thing for streaming, right? Because I can't stand Call of Duty at the moment. I do not want to play Call of Duty. I don't care if it gets me bigger numbers. I'm not playing it. Well, your audience wants to watch it. I'm like, I don't give a no. Don't care.
Right. Well, that is a tough thing to answer because it's
how do you curate that?
Do I give the people what they want, or do I do what's more interesting to me? And I don't know how to answer that exactly because I don't want to give you a standard answer. Like, oh, you have to have a balance.
No, please don't. No, screw that.
But I mean, I want to give a tip that I think is important about content creation. Quality and knowing when to do quality. Well, let me paraphrase this a little differently. It's always important to put out good quality, but you have to know when to pull the quality back just enough
yeah.
that you can keep releasing content. And the problem with focusing on quality, especially this is coming from me, this is what I do, and this is not good, is you know how to focus on quality in your very specific ways. So for me, the quality of my vlogs was like, oh, do you realize how hard this was to edit? Do you realize how hard it was for me to get the music to line up just perfectly with this and then cut to this and then the voice came in and it just happened to be long enough to fit with the music so that when the picture came back, the music was XYZ? That's me. That's quality for me as an editor. The problem is, not only does nobody notice it, no one cares. It doesn't make the movie really that much better. It really doesn't, because I was so focused on the quality of what I could do that I didn't focus on the quality of the story, the quality of the character. It is a vlog, but like a vlog is a character. The quality of the engagement and the marketing and the extra level of pushing the episode out there. So I'd like upload the episode on YouTube, post the thumbnail on Instagram, tell people it was out, post a clip of it on Instagram. That was it. And that's just not engaging. And like, those aren't high quality Instagram posts. And so while I make the excuse that, oh, I'm just focusing on quality, you have to focus on quality in the right ways. And in addition to that, it's really important to spread your the episodes or the content you're making over multiple days. So it's one thing to say, I'm going to do vlogs, and then you spend 6 weeks filming and editing a vlog, and you think it's perfect and you upload it. That's okay. That happens, and especially with video projects where it's actually a movie.
Oh, okay.
That's important. However, it's important for you to release content, go to sleep, release more content, go to sleep, release more content, go to sleep for multiple days in a row, because your brain does a lot of things while you're asleep. It builds a lot of neurological pathways and connects things and connects dots. We barely even know what goes on in the brain when you sleep. So that's why it's important, one, to get good sleep, but it's also important to release some content, think about it, analyze it, look at the response, go to sleep, let your brain work out all these puzzles while you're asleep, and then come back to it and do it again.
Right.
And that's kind of one of the things that's really important to remember, is that quality is important, but quantity is also super important, because the quality that you're focusing on might not encompass the whole scope of the quality that is required for your project, and the quantity can help you find that. So
dude, I'm so glad you said that, because that circles back around so perfectly with how do you begin like doing something like streaming, or like what you're doing is simply just putting it out there and doing it is what gets you the knowledge. I mean, you can watch videos and tutorials, but it'll get you that firsthand experience that really will mold and shape and allow you to have those tools available, right? Because it doesn't matter if your stream's bad. It doesn't matter if your first video's bad, because you're making it. Okay, like you learned something. The next one, you applied it. Maybe it wasn't a perfect application. Oh, you learned how to do it more efficiently. You learned timing. You learned color correction. You learned that if I get this logo or I put this little thumbnail on my video, whether it's a stream or not, boom, it gets more engagement. It's really important, because I think you learn a lot of lessons that drive quality in the future when you're putting out consistent content.
Yeah, but, and it's actually. Oh, keep going. Sorry.
Oh, I was done.
I think you're talking about like putting this little thing in the thumbnail and editing this way and putting this music in. And I do know that one of my weaknesses in the projects that I've done my whole life, like I've been doing projects, like my first video I made when I was like 10, like I've always been doing little videos and projects, and like this podcast, like I've just always been trying to make things. And I really love it. I'm so glad that I started, because I really do love it. But the tricky part is a lot of ego and self-worth gets involved. And I don't mean that in like the standard way of like, oh, your ego. I mean, people, myself included, are like, well, this is my brand. I always put this thing in my thumbnail because this thing is my brand.
Yep.
And I can't go against my brand because this is my brand, right? And it's like, I did this. But I think the reality is the person is saying that, and they believe that they're saying that because they're like, well, I'm just trying to stick with my brand. You can't go off brand. But the reality is they're kind of afraid of making a change, because if they make a change and it's improves things, like if someone suggests, take that little logo off your thumbnails. No, that's my brand. This is what I always do, and this is the same music and the same thing. This is what I've always done, and it works, and this is it. The problem with that is you've attached your ego to the brand, because if your brand isn't working, if you make that change and your stream gets better, or your videos get better, or they get more views, you sort of feel like, I'm a failure. I was wrong. I did this. So the safe thing to do is to go, no, I'm not changing anything. I'm not listening to anyone else. I'm definitely right. I'm not even going to give it a chance, because if I give it a and and they're right, that hits my ego. And so you can see how your ego can block you from actually getting better.
Oh yeah,
I'm still trying to learn that.
We struggled with that. Like we're just getting to that point now as Rally Point, where we're taking some advice and some criticism and kind of going, you know what? We have to look at ourselves and kind of go, we're trying to build a business, and that's what this is. It's a brand. It's a business. I'm trying to make something that supports 4 people long into the future, and it's not an easy thing to accomplish when you're making content. I mean, there's a reason only like 1% of people who are streaming make it to a level where they get paid and can be supported by that, right? You can easily let your identity.
I think a lot of successful people listen to other people.
Oh,
and they don't assume. Excuse me. They don't assume that. They don't assume that other people are wrong. They assume that other people are probably right, and then they try it, and it either works or it doesn't, and then they play off of it. They're not afraid that, like, if the other person is right, maybe I do suck at this because I didn't realize that. And
they're not afraid to have a bad moment or a bad video or a bad photograph or a bad stream or a bad concert.
Someone tells you or suggests something to you, it's always good to question, am I reluctant to do this because I actually think I'm right? Or is my subconscious trying to keep me from doing it so that I don't prove to myself that I actually made mistakes and that I'm not perfect? Because there is a lot of like subconscious stuff that goes on in people's heads about this stuff. They don't realize it. Like, I didn't realize it. I struggle with this stuff. I think this is a problem that I think I would have been way further in my podcasts and my vlogs and my videos if I had asked more other people, like, how do I get better? What do you think I should do? And then just did it, even if I didn't think it was a good idea, to see if it worked. I think I would have learned a lot more. So I'm trying to like encourage people on that.
Yeah, because there's a fine line between putting your identity into the thing you're doing and then taking a step back and looking at it and go, you know what? I'm way too wrapped up as an individual or as a group in this project, and I'm not looking at it objectively.
Yeah, and part of your identity with your project could be, I am good at listening to other people and grabbing the right ideas from the right people. You know, and so taking someone else's idea, someone suggesting something, let that person who suggested it have an ego trip over it. Like, it's like, I don't like that person, and I don't want them to... I had someone tell me that DaVinci Resolve was awesome, and I just didn't want to use it. I'm like, oh, okay, sure it is. I'm sure. Oh, it's free. All right, you're a programmer. It's probably going to be stupid. It's going to be like one of those stupid programmer, like, oh, it's just so great. It's so powerful. And I'm going to hate it. And I started using it like a couple months ago. This was suggested to me years ago, and I never did it. I should have done it, you know, and I think I regret that. Now, in this moment, I am switching over to it, and it's been really fun. I've really like rediscovered my love for editing. But if I had listened to that person earlier, I would have learned it a long time ago. I probably could have done a lot of cool things with it, but I didn't.
For sure.
And so it's really important to not get caught up in I don't want to feed that person's ego because they're going to get all a big head that they corrected me and they told me the software that I was using sucked and that I should switch to this other software, and then they're going to hold it over my head. They're going to tell all my friends that I was the one who told them to switch to DaVinci Resolve. And that's not really going to probably happen. They're probably never even going to meet your friends. So why don't you take the tip, benefit from it, and then who cares what that person gets a big head? That's them. You know, what does that matter?
Yeah, I mean, each person, I think, comes at that situation extremely differently, too. One thing people get wrapped up in, like, Yours was like, okay, this is an ego thing. This is what I'm doing. This is what I use. This is what
and just to clarify, that was subconscious. I didn't actually realize that it was an ego thing until I kind of analyzed it later. I thought I was I just know what I should do, and I did it.
Like mine would be like fear of failure and not having what I think is good enough to be on air, right? So that's something I've had to learn to get over with. It's like, you know what? You're not somebody who has spent the last 6 years fucking streaming, dude. You don't have the timing. You don't have this. You don't have that, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't matter. You develop those skills as you use them. Like letting go of your ego, and that goes towards whether it's you saying my idea is better, or I'm not using this because this person might perceive that they're getting more credit, or whether it's fear related because you're like, I don't want to be perceived as someone who fails at what they do.
Right.
Or if it's something as simple as removing the ego laziness out of it. It's like, you know what? I don't have the time. I cannot put that in that direction.
I'm a perfectionist. I want it to be good before I release it. It's like, no, you're afraid. No. You're probably afraid.
Exactly. You're fearful of nothing. Like that's a huge thing we're finally learning as a channel and as a team, is just to try things and not care what somebody else is doing. I don't care what the big streamers are doing. I don't care what the popular game is. Sure, we'll play those things just to get like some reach out there and get some exposure. But overall, what are we doing having fun? Well, our content's kind of humorous with a little bit of serious mixed in. Then guess what? If that's the formula that works at this moment in time, that's what you run with. Oh, guess what? It's time to change that up. Okay, we changed it up.
Yeah, I was talking to someone about this earlier today, actually. I was on the phone with someone. I was telling them, you hesitate, you die. That's like a phrase that my friend group here in Miami says. Hesitate, you die. Like if we don't like cross the street right away, it's like, oh, we hesitated, we all died. And so that has a lot of it's applicable to a lot of things where when you don't adapt, when you don't evolve, when you don't change when things change, you die. Imagine if I was like, dude, I'm still trying to grow my MySpace account. Dude, you're dead. You can't. What are you doing?
You have
Get
no
out of
content.
there. That's over. That doesn't work now. You have to change. You have to adapt to it. And so, one of the biggest mistakes. This is not my quote, by the way. I don't want to take credit for it. One of the biggest mistakes is saying the reason we do this is because it worked at one point.
Yep.
And it's like, well, just because it worked at one point doesn't mean it will work now. You should always be questioning, does this still work? Yes, it worked. Like the prank videos on YouTube did work. The daily vlogging did work. All these things did work. They don't work now. So what works now? What's new? That's what people need to ask themselves.
Right. Like, and the cool thing, like I like about content creation and about something like this in general, is like taking you for example. I've watched you be like super perfectionist with the podcast at times, and then you're like, you know what? Let's not edit this. You know what? Let's have the conversation. You know what? Let's not be as scripted. Like, because I know you like having a scripted setup. Like your shows, I have these points. Let's get through these points. Who cares? This is what we're doing.
Yeah. Right? Just to clarify, I do have guidelines. I have like little bullets of like, oh, I might want to cover this because I don't want to go into it like completely I didn't prepare. Because you're an interview. You're a guest, and so I don't want you to come in here and I go, I don't know anything.
I don't know what to ask them.
But I don't have it like we missed like 50% of the questions I wrote down.
Exactly.
Because it just didn't fit.
Mm-hmm. But that's what I think it's really cool to see about your progression is you probably at some point would have gone, I need to get down these bullet points because this is what I have. This is the content I have to make.
That's right. Shut up, Jordan. Hold on. I have to ask you another question. There's 3 more questions on this subject.
Can you cut that answer short?
Question. I have an agenda to get to, and that
You're
ruins
the guest. I'm the host. This is the format. Into discussion.
Yeah, it turns me into Fallon. Like, I got to answer these questions.
Hey guys, welcome. We're back tonight.
You have to respond in this way.
Yeah. It's cool, man. It's one thing I will say, or at least a question I have. Where do you find the balance in being a little, to use a first-person shooter term, shooting from the hip versus aiming down your sights where you're being focused versus I'm hitting my target, but it's just not as accurate as I want it to be? Where do you go, you know what, an editing or a video or a podcast where you go, you know what, this is good enough to put out now. The next one I'll be a little more precise with. But still be good.
So I would say more of a perfectionist when I was younger, and I'm trying to get out of it a little bit more as I've gotten older. But I've also been kind of a person that rushes things too, where it's like I probably should have been more of a perfectionist on certain parts of my projects, I think. I don't know. I don't know how you know when to go off the cuff and just do something different and when to stick to your guns too. I don't know that I have an answer for that, to be honest with you. But I do know that you can feel it. That's part of the reason why it's good to just keep releasing stuff. Like this podcast, this episode 116. We just keep releasing them. And if you listen to the first episode, like listen to the intro of the last, I don't know, 80 episodes. It's the same. And then listen to the outro where you all go, oh, outro music, and the music plays, right? Listen to that. You know how that started? Like how that came up? No one decided we would do that. That wasn't something that we sat around and said, what do we say at the beginning of the podcast? Because it's the beginning of the podcast. We have to hook people. What do we say? What's the phrase? What are we going to say? We didn't sit there and have a meeting about it. Same with the outro. How are we going to end the episode? We didn't sit around and have a meeting going, well, we have to end it correctly because this is the finale. It's the very ending. This is what people are going to remember. We have to make sure we say something right.
So hyper.
We didn't do that. We just kept recording episodes. And before we knew it, we were all just saying outro music like when the music would play. Like I think Michael said it. I think Brent said it at some point. And then it just kind of became a thing. And it was like a meme. And it just sort of became the thing that we did. And why did that... Sorry, I'll end this point.
No, this works perfectly.
Why did that happen? Well, we just kept throwing episodes out. And it just fell into place. Like us going outro music and the music playing. That's great. I love that. But it just happened. We were just sort of doing stuff and it worked out. It felt right. And then we kept it going. It's sort of like a dance where you can have a dance pattern, but then you also sort of just have to see what seems like the right thing to do at the time. So be flexible.
Oh, that's a good answer. That's a good answer. Be flexible, I think, is the point there in general. If you want to
be flexible
boil it down.
And be willing to be wrong and just do what other people say. Ooh. Don't. Ego is the enemy. You know, that's what they say.
Ego is the enemy.
Really try to check yourself on your pride. Like, why don't I want to do this? Why am I?
There's a Lukeism.
Oh, Lukeism.
Ego is the enemy.
Oh, that's not my quote. I don't want to take credit for that one. I'm actually reading a book. There's a book by Ryan Holiday called "Ego Is the Enemy," and it covers. It's a kind of like a stoicism book, but it's really interesting.
Interesting.
It really is. I think I hate to admit it, but I think I had certain ego problems in my own way, like kind of backhanded, kind of hidden way about stuff, and I think I would be a lot happier now if I hadn't had that. And so I'm trying to let go of that in a lot of ways.
Oh, good, man. I'm proud of you. So you're growing as a content creator and a person.
Yeah.
Interesting how those two go hand in hand, huh?
It's good to grow, keep changing. So
growth.
All right. I'd say we wrap this up. I would tell you to do plugs. You did some of them already, but why don't you run through them again? And you got the podcast, you got the Facebook. Where can people find you and the stuff that you're doing?
I feel like I'm about to do the Animaniacs country song here, just listing them in alphabetical order through song. You can find us on Facebook at Rally Point Gaming, Twitter at Rally Point US. You can find us at Twitch at Rally Point Gaming X, Instagram at Rally Point Gaming. You seeing a trend here?
Yep.
YouTube at Rally Point Gaming. We're mostly live on Facebook. We were going live on the other platforms simultaneously. We're still trying to work that whole thing out. That's a bit of a mess at the moment. But hey, come hang out with us on Facebook. That's where most of our content is anyway. You can join our private group where we share memes and have good times and laughs. You can check out my podcast at Preacher Oren on Facebook. That's uploaded there. It's also on YouTube at Preacher Oren. You can find it by Wolfie and the Hamster.
Oren again for them?
It's Preacher, Preacher, Auron. It's
almost like it's like Aaron almost.
It's like Aaron. Yeah. See, this is one of those things where
it.
I get made fun of because I can't.
like Austin, but Aaron.
Auron. Yeah, Auron.
I'm just trying to get people to remember it because I've never heard.
It's a Final Fantasy character play is what it is. So, I guess I'll send Luke a link and you can post it that way.
Sweet.
Sweet, man.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me on, dude. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, dude. I really appreciate you just kind of jumping on here and doing this with me. It was really fun. I really enjoyed this conversation. That's why the episode's an hour and 40 minutes. So to do my plugs really quick, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Luke Roxwold. That's LukeRockswold. And I have a new Instagram called Roxwold Edits. It's something that Ruji's helping me run. She's been doing an awesome job with it. It's insane the amount of work she's put into helping me market it and brand it. So shout out to her for that. And I also want to shout out Ruji's podcast. It's called, let me just look it up to make sure I get the handle just right. It's called Starting Out Podcast. And it's on Spotify, Google Play. She did it through Anchor, so it's like gonna be on the Apple Podcast. It might be on it now, actually, by the time people start listening to it. But Starting Out Podcast, and the Instagram handle for it is I just want to double check it.
He's not prepared. This is great. It's off the cuff. I love it.
I just want to make sure I don't say it wrong. Starting Out Cast. I don't know if she had a pun there, but there's a pun. Like Starting Outcast is basically what it is on Instagram. Go follow her. She's been helping me a lot with my Instagram and giving me tips, and she actually is really, really good at this stuff. So she deserves some attention. Go follow her on that. She's been working really hard on that podcast. I helped produce the first episode, and I'm going to help her kind of set up the second one too. So I'm involved with that. You can also follow this podcast Instagram at WAITSB Podcast. That's We're All in the Same Boat. Podcast is an acronym. Go follow us on Twitter. Twitter. Follow us on Instagram, because that's where we post. So, Jordan, I appreciate you jumping on here to do this interview. Absolutely. It was really, really fun. Gave a lot of life to this podcast, so thank you so much for that.
Absolutely, man. I'm glad I could be on.
Thanks for listening to this episode. Tune in next time for when I interview somebody or have my host back on, or who knows. We're going to kind of be flexible with this podcast, like you said, in this episode. So, cool. All right. And you know what we're doing, Jordan?
Oh, I do.
3, 2, 1, outro.
Outro music.